Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. Going to talk to us a little bit about the Living Bible. Now, the Living Bible is not quite as popular as it used to be. You actually have the New Living Translation. The reason it was so important to put that T on the end of the New Living is because the Living Bible is actually a paraphrase. It had nothing to do with Hebrew or Greek whatsoever. It was actually a man by the name of Kenneth Taylor. He's actually the one who started Tyndale House Publishing, who, doing daily devotions with his children, would use the ASV of 1901 and then paraphrase it for them. And so over the course of time, it was kind of like, hey, this might sell. So in 1962, I know he sent a copy of Living Letters, the epistles paraphrase, to Billy Graham, and Billy Graham started passing this thing out at his crusades. And as they say, the rest is history. And it was very well received in many evangelical circles, even fundamentalist circles. I remember in short order, it sold like 33 million copies. And there's a real famous edition of the Living Bible. It's like green, like a pretty dark green with some type of Celtic cross or something on the front, and kind of a puffy hardcover. Man, that was in Christian homes by the millions in the U.S. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when you see the Living Bible, like if you go to Goodwill or something like that, that's the edition they're selling, because there are so many, even into the tens of millions of those around. Now, the Living Bible still sells. It doesn't sell nearly as well since the New Living Translation came out. The New Living is probably one of the 5 major translations in English-speaking countries today. Of course, you have the King James, which would be the best and most read in all of this. King James, New King James, New American Standard, NIV, ESV, and NLT. So that's 6, and many people would place the NLT somewhere in that top 5, actually. And so it's an extremely popular translation. So Kenneth Taylor, it's a paraphrase. I think it kind of, in a sense, morphed out of control, if you know what I'm saying. People began using it as their primary Bible, and it was never meant to be used as their primary Bible. It was, again, it was a children's Bible storybook, was the inspiration. He was just, it'd be like if somebody just used a paraphrase and said, the walls come tumbling down, talking about Jericho, and you're teaching your children these things, or having family devotions. And so that's kind of what happened. And I know in Pentecostal circles, which I'm in, there was a real division among it. Some people were really against it. Some people really loved it. And in many instances, especially when I first got in the church in the 80s and 90s, there were some old-time preacher guys that, like, their second Bible they used was the Living Bible. And they'd preach out of the King James and then use the Living Bible an awful lot. But as more light kind of got exposed, the computer era comes on, people are able to do more research for themselves, and they saw where it came from. That's not so much the case now. So again, it's based off the American Standard Version of 1901, which is based on Westcott and Hort eclectic Greek text, and it just comes from it was the Americanized version of the EV, or the English version, or the Revised Version. It's also known as the RV, or sometimes you'll see the ERV of 1885 of Westcott and Hort, which is supposed to be an update of the King James. And man, I remember when I was selling Bibles in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of people that really just, the ASV of 1901 was it, because it was used so much in seminaries, even conservative seminaries, for decades, from like maybe the 20s through the 70s. So, Living Bible, paraphrase. God bless you. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.